What is the impact of Dallen Hayden entering the transfer portal?
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Buckeye fans, unfortunately, another Buckeye is into the transfer portal. It's Dallen Hayden, a talented running back. And I do believe this departure of Hayden leaves a big hole in the Buckeyes running back room. Welcome in, everyone, to a Wednesday hump day edition of Locked On Buckeyes here on Wednesday, April the 10th in the year 2024. I am your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Joining us during today's show, it is my guy, Jeff Hunt of the Jeff Needs Sports Podcast, part of the OG3 of the Off the Ball Network. Jeff is here, and the first news of the day was not really the plan for Jeff and I to talk about today, but when a player of the caliber that has done amazing things as Dallen Hayden enters the portal, that becomes something that Jeff and I need to talk about. And Jeff, with Dallen Hayden's departure from Ohio State, I see a hole at that RB3 spot. You got two really good guys, and everybody else behind them is unproven.
Yeah. I say it's a shocker as far as like we just don't. That was a guy that we became attached to as Buckeye fans. Two seasons ago was when he really gutted it out and probably was one of the keys to surviving that season with injuries and stuff like that. In the older guys. He's very talented. We like the way he ran, you know what I mean, with that kind of hard-nosed, tough, mentality. So that was a tough one. This was one of the first ones that we became attached to. Yeah. And we were that left us but I don't want to be a hypocrite here. Like other schools, like when we get their players, I'm happy to have them. So I know this works both ways and the transfer portal, no hard feelings versus Hayden, but on the field, that is a hole. When you count on when you count on a guy, the quality of Hayden being your third running back. And also, when we say running back 3, we're also like, it's not like he's going to sit on the bench in case there's 2 injuries. Like this guy's going to be in the mix. Correct. Like he would have probably pushed, I don't know, 600 yards this year, probably 10 touchdowns, depending on how the season went. There's somebody's going to get dinged up along the way. He's basically he's going to be running back 2.5, is what the plan was. And then obviously next season we thought that, he was going to jump up and be in the starting rotation. And now that's gone. And then, like you said, now you got to figure out, you're going to need that third running back. And you're going to need them soon. Like, that's just how the running back position is. We talked about the injuries. We talked about how these guys get beat up. So, like, it does leave a hole. And, right before spring practice, on the other side, I wish the best for Hayden. I hope he's very successful.
Of course.
I think he did what he assumes is best for him. And it might even be, because I also understand why these kids don't just want to be like, they don't want to be extra. You know what I mean? Like, we always talk about making a great dish with all the ingredients. Like, They know what they're worth, but they also just can't be dessert, or they also can't be, just a benefit. So, best for him. But again, this is what happens in today's age, and these teams got to scramble, and just like Ole Miss is scrambling, probably in their running back situation. Now, it may seem like we're loaded at running back, and we are, but you still got to figure out who that dude is.
Jeff, think about this though. I'm trying to have a positive take on a lot of things and not try to be how I am during the season as being very, 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 very critical. Just how you told old boy, hey, I don't want to have this conversation about Patrick Mahomes in April. Like, I'm not trying to be the negative guy about Ohio State football all the time. And so when it comes to Hayden, him entering the portal right now, it's a benefit for him, because the portal's not open yet, and teams can try to figure out, hey, is this a guy that we can realistically add to our school that will make us better now? Maybe they need a starting running back, and Hayden can fill that void right now. So those teams that maybe weren't looking at Hayden previously get an earlier look at him right now, which is great. Before Ohio State, Jeff, this is also a good time for them to try to figure out, hey, the portal's not even open yet, but we're going to probably go out to the portal to get a running back 3 for us. Someone that realizes they're coming here not to start, coming here to work behind Henderson and Judkins, and someone that maybe next year or the year after could be a starting running back for Ohio State. So the timing of this, I want Hayden to stay here his entire career in college and be that guy. It's not going to happen. And so he can go to the portal, figure out where the next landing spot could be. Teams can get an earlier look at him. But also for Ohio State, they can also do the same thing. Hey, he's gone.
Yes.
Who are guys that we could go out there and get to fill that void right now? It's a win-win for both parties right now.
Yeah. This was the time to do it. This is the business of college football now. And like you said, it benefits both. And plus why go through the spring game? We saw what happened to, our 2 years ago, we saw what we thought was going to be our next running back go down, in the spring after having such a great spring game. So it's like Hayden can't, I don't want to say risk, but if he goes out and plays in the spring game and he would have played, a lot, he's going to risk it all because that's the type of player he is. So there's also, I hate to bring up the business part of it, but more than likely Hayden's going to go to when I say contender, I mean a team that has a realistic chance of, winning. We'll say winning their conference, whatever conference that is. ACC.
So he's not going to follow Calipari to Arkansas. I know it's two different sports. So. I know it's two different sports, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. So like he's going to go to a quality team. You might as well go as healthy as you can. And there's for a guy of his stature, like there's going to be some NIL money available.
Yes.
So you don't want to come, and you can say what it is about that. I'm just telling the truth. That's a real thing. Again, that absolutely is what he should do. Look for the best. But like I could totally see him winding up at a Florida State. You know what I mean? Like,
he's
honestly,
that good.
Several of the SEC schools, and then maybe snagging or one of the Texas schools that has all the money. Like, if you told me he's playing for Texas A&M next year for $500,000 in a car, cool. Good, go for good luck, Dallen Hayden, man. I hope it works out. And when you're a running back, he is outside NFL caliber, potential. So, like, if you're a running back, you need one good season or even five really good games, and now you got a shot to go to the next level. These aren't guys that can throw away years at that position the way it's run now. So like he's got to do, if he wants to play football for a living, then he's got to do everything he can to get on the field and get eyeballs on him and do that. So it's just, and then like you said, it's best for Ohio State to do it now. It's all the more time. You don't want him to leave in August. You know what I mean? Like you want to, then get your guy in the and that's great. You got the spring game coming up. Okay, get the next guys in the rotation. Find out who wants that spot. This is where you find out who wants to play football, not who you think's the best. This is where you find out who wants to play football. Just like we did a couple of years ago with Pryor. Didn't work out quite like we hoped, but that this is when the guys show up. This is what this game's for. Don't leave right after the spring game. Now we just wasted reps.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. What are you waiting for? Simply visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Once again, just go to FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on the YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Yeah, Jeff, I got a question for you, and I'm going to throw it at you because you've been an Ohio State fan longer than me. How would you feel if Dallen Hayden followed Tony Alford to Michigan?
Oh, Okay, so on this one, because of everything I said about how much I like Hayden, that one would hurt. I wouldn't. There would be hard feelings as far as I would root against him. It wouldn't be a personal thing. I will say that, but I would want him to fail, not get hurt, but I would want him to fail. I would want them to fail. That one would sting. That one would be part of the rivalries, build up, going into next season. And if that happens, again, if that's what he thinks is best for him, that's fine. But I can't be on board with that. I can't be on board with that. If you're gonna tell me and here's the thing, we've done it from that team. We've brought guys in, and they've came to their senses and came back to Ohio State and had good careers. But when it goes the other way, nah. Best of luck, Dallen Hayden. But I hope you're healthy and happy and have a great family and future. But nah. No. I can't be rooting for you. Can't be rooting for you in that helmet, dog.
I feel my blood pressure going up as you're talking, and I'm trying my best to stay contained.
I'm gonna tell a real quick story into Jeff's life.
Go for it.
I was at the store yesterday. I was waiting. I was buying some golf balls. The guy in front of me's got a hat on with that letter on it, and I'm like, okay, here we go. So I stayed back as far as I could because I'm like, I can't. I'm not trying to ruin my beautiful Sunday by being around this guy in that hat. And he's buying an Ohio State golf glove for some reason. Obviously for somebody else, or I have no idea. It doesn't matter. And I'm just like, I was as mad as I could be standing in line waiting to buy some golf balls. I'm like, you couldn't have somebody you couldn't. I could. I did this difference between us. I can't buy that golf glove.
No.
I got. You know what? If somebody I loved and that was all they wanted in the world was a golf glove from that other team, you know what I do? Get them an Amazon gift card and be like, you do what you want. I can't stop you from buying what you want, but I ain't buying it. So this man, it had me fired up, Jay, on a Sunday in April, angry.
Hey, bro. So you know how my wife and I met her and I knew instantly she was the one.
Yeah,
we'll be in the store. Just a local department store. There's Ohio State. There's Indiana. There's Purdue. There's Notre Dame. There's Colts. There's Pacers. And, of course, for some reason, they have that ugly other symbol that the team that plays in Ann Arbor, they have their stuff there as well. She would literally go there and put the Michigan hats behind Ohio State hats and walk away. So,
that's a keeper, Jay.
She bought in quickly. Hey, she ain't going nowhere. She's not going anywhere. But bro, I'm with you. I'm with you there. I would not be a fan of him going there. It would make me feel weird.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say anything bad about him. Call him names or anything, but
no.
I ain't supporting that.
No. What
unless
I am
he get 50 yards,
he
gets 50 yards in a loss. I'm good. 50 yards, and as long as they lose in 50 yards, we're cool. So there you go, Dallen. You have 500 yards this year and lose 6 games, and as long as you lose that the important one, we're square.
Jeff, what I am a fan of, though, is the potential of a college football super league. This is something that came across my timeline on the Twitter a while ago, and I was thinking, okay, I don't really buy into all the things that come across Twitter because I do realize sometimes things pop up that are literally to get the public's feedback, and these things really don't have much traction until people like you and I say yes or no, and there's a lot of fans out there that have a lot of say in what goes on in not just college football, but college basketball and NFL, NBA, all of that stuff. A potential of a college football super league, which currently it would combine the 69 Power 5 schools plus Notre Dame to make 70 teams. You would make 7 divisions of 10 out of those 70 teams. And then you get the group of 5 schools. There's 50 of them. And they're trying to find a way to compete to be a team that's promoted to being in the 8th division. So you have the Power 5 schools plus Notre Dame. They're automatically in 7 divisions of 10 teams. Then in the 50 group of 5 schools, they are competing to be in the last division of 10. So 50 schools, 10 spots. Bro, that's competition right there. And the fact that this is coming up right now, right after we're hearing that there's going to be a 14-team playoff, but the proposal for this is a 16-team playoff where you have the 8 division winners. They get automatic bids, and then 8 wild cards. You're removing the committee, which I can't stand. You're removing any BCS computer poll or human poll, AP maybe, or whatever it is to decide who's in the playoff. But you're saying, hey, look, 8 divisions, great. Division winners, you're automatically in the playoff. And then what else are you doing, Jeff? You're saying, hey, look, you got 8 wild cards. And with the Super League, you can move out of that big league and be in the smaller league the following year, or whatever type of system they use, maybe 2 years, 3 years, whatever rotation they want to do. I like this idea. And, bro, I was not a big fan of expansion of the playoff, but this model, it works for the NFL, and I think it'll work for college football too.
Yeah. This is
the
cool,
playoff
man.
model. Excuse me. The playoff model works. I know the NFL doesn't have a super league, but the playoff model works for the NFL. And I like that fact. And I even think if you're one of the smaller schools, the G5 schools that's trying to get promoted, or maybe you're a Power 5 school that's like having a down period, you get demoted. Hey, man, better hit that portal. Better start recruiting a little bit better to get back up to the top. That's the part I like.
Yeah. The setup and something you touched on there. This came up, and all of the conferences and presidents and everything are saying, hey, this is something that was concocted by an unaffiliated group. This is not something we've talked about. Here's something I call BS on that. This is exactly how because we all know we're eventually going to end up with some sort of super team, some sort of super league, college football. This is a way they can float it out, have somebody float it out, and be like, let's see what everybody says about it. Let's have discussions. Let's watch Jay and Jeff talk this out. But we're not attached. You know what I mean? If I'm the president of Ohio State or Florida State, whatever, like I can be like, no, man, this is something. But you're still listening. You're still getting all the feedback. You know what I mean? Like, so this is no different than a few years ago. They're like, we're going to expand the playoffs, and everybody's like, talk. Guess what? Playoffs expand. This is happening. Some version of this is happening. Now, I would say that they threw the 80 out there. Now they're going to test the waters and see, like, okay, what's actually going to work? What's the backlash? Well, who's the most upset? Who did we hurt? So now we can come up with this number of teams, because I always assumed it would be like 4, 16 team conferences. That's what I assumed that we were going to wind up with. Roughly 64 teams. That's what I assume it's going to wind up with. This is sort of a version of that, but you're including more schools. So I don't like this as a rough draft of making things better. And the playoffs, I love the playoff format. Like you said, I love the competition. Here's a few downsides. And I said I had some downsides I've been thinking about. One thing is, now you basically just created minor league football.
You did.
The question is, we don't know how much people will still care once it's actually, because you're gonna have to have revenue sharing. If this is going to work, this is going to be private. I think what's important is this idea kind of basically is going to eliminate the NCAA part of it, and this is going to be a private thing. Which here's the thing about it now. It really is now. Like the playoffs right now are owned by ESPN. If anybody don't know that, like they pay $1 billion. The playoffs are owned by ESPN. It ain't an NCAA thing. You know what I mean? So that's really important. But this basically will be private industry. It'll be funded. So you're going to have all this money pouring in. So you're going to have some sort of revenue sharing. We know that's coming in college sports, revenue sharing. Probably the NCAA basketball tournament next year might have some sort of revenue sharing. So now what do we got? You're finally kind of paying the players. Finally got, revenue sharing. Kind of minor leagues. First question, will people still care as much? When on a rivalry game that, is more set up, more professional. We don't really know the answer to that. And another thing, if you're at the top, if you're these teams at the top, guess what? Cupcakes are gone. So can fans like us accept, now we're going to lose 2 games a year. That's going to be normal. A great season is going to be losing 2 or 3 games. You're still going to go to the playoffs. You're going to have a chance to win it all. So can the Alabamas, can the Ohio States, can the Clemsons, can they deal with 3 lost seasons? That just like we say about the NFL, because obviously, let's not forget, we're not cutting this off and the players are going to stay the same. This means all the players are going to those 80 teams. The other 50 teams, that's a whole different conversation we could have, but they got no shot. You know what I mean? So now you got all the talent pushed upwards. So now if you got a 10-team conference and you got to win the conference to get in, now the talent's going to push to the top of the conference. So can we handle, the top 4 teams in the conference every year? And they're going to lose 2 or 3 games. The bottom are just going to get beat up. So, to credit somebody else I heard say today on, a show I was listening to, can some of these teams that are used to maybe winning maybe losing at the most 3 games a year, going to a decent bowl game. Can they handle being 500 every year? Can they handle getting beat up by Alabama or Ohio State every year? Like, are they going to be able to deal with that? So that's things that college football fans like have to wrap their brain around and see if they're cool with it. That's just some of the downsides that I see. Is even though I know it's coming, I don't know how you keep the passion of it with this. That's the concerns that I would have.
This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. One thing my family does every single year is take a trip to Cincinnati, Ohio, for the Cubs and Reds baseball game. Sometimes it's a little bit trickier to find the best price ticket out there. Well, the next time we go, we're definitely using Gametime because it takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. To take the guesswork out of buying tickets, simply download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Jeff, think about this though. You talk about it, and you mentioned a team that's having 3 losses every year, going 9-3 in the regular season. They may occasionally make you can make your conference championship game with 3 losses, but it's not probably going to happen consistently. And then all of a sudden, you got 3 losses, and then you go to a decent bowl game. Now you're 500. Hawkeye fans are going to hate me for saying this. I immediately thought about Iowa.
Yep.
I thought about how Iowa and Kirk Ferentz, he has made a name for himself by going 9-3 or 10-2 every season. Like, literally, Bo Pelini went 10-2 or 9-3. I think it was 10-2 every year, maybe 9-3 at Nebraska got fired. Kirk Ferentz has done the same exact thing, been there for a long period of time. And I think they shared a conference championship with Ohio State back when Tressel was in Columbus, I think. So, like, it's not like he doesn't have any hardware for his tenure in Iowa, but you're talking about a program like that. Are they comfortable? Will they be comfortable with, well, things aren't going well for us? They changed the divisions up, so they changed the conferences up, so we're not having to go up against those West Coast schools maybe. Like, I don't know what the divisions are going to be. Will it be geographically? Will it be even? Like a couple of really good teams, couple of really bad teams, and then you filter it in to make everything even in the divisions? I don't know. But for Iowa, man, this might not be good for them. Like, it may not be.
Right.
It's going to directly impact recruiting because the guys all of a sudden they're like, wait, the Super League. So you mean I could go to that school and go and get knocked down a division, which means they're making less money, which means their competition isn't as good, which means I might not make as much money in NIL. Wait, let me go to the big boys. So I do think, like, from an Ohio State point of view, it impacts Ohio State in a great way. They're going to financially make a whole lot of money. They're going to get a whole lot. They can get better recruits. They can compete for national championships like they already have been. But if you're the little guy or somebody in the middle, bro, it could be a quick climb up or a quick fall down.
Yeah, we always say too, as Ohio State fans, that's what we do the show about. It doesn't hurt us because Ohio State's just such a machine. Like, it's tough for us to sit here and be like, oh man, again, Ohio State's going to be fine. Like, as long as they keep things rolling because of the infrastructure, because of the talent, because of the brand. See, that's what this is going to be about. Like, when you go to these teams, this is, and it's funny, like if anybody wants to look into it, this is sort of how they built the Premier League in soccer over in England. Mm-hmm. This is kind of how it evolved and kind of how they built it. And it's the same thing. Here's the thing. When it goes to minor league, if it's still got that Block O attached to it, you automatically have that brand built in. So you still have the fans. Now, the upside, I said a lot of the downsides, the upside is the playoffs will be fire. Like that, that'll be some of the funnest, best competitive, college football and actual college football playoff we ever saw. You're going to have underdogs. You're going to have, store. It's going to be sort of like March Madness. Like there's going to be a quarterback that gets hot and wins 3 games and almost wins a championship. There's going to be, if a team can go undefeated, like we just saw South Carolina do that. So the playoffs are going to get much better. Like the dead bowl season will be gone. That's another thing. Bowl games are gone. That's another side effect of this. Like nobody's watching a bowl game anymore. Like it's all going to be about the competition. So like, the football on the field should be pretty good, assuming the only thing that could really mess this up. And this is something I haven't heard discussed a lot, and I've been thinking about it a lot. The only thing that saves college football right now is that the NFL has that 3 years out of high school rule. That's the only thing saving college football right now. Is like these players have to figure out something to do for 3 years before they can go to the NFL. They're great players. And so that's the key. Like, can they make a relationship with the NFL to be like, man, don't mess this up? Because the NFL has nothing to gain by all this. Like they're not affiliated. They don't make money off of it. They just don't want 18-year-olds coming in and, they just don't think they're physically ready. If that stays, then these guys coming out of high school still need something to do to play football. It's fine. But if they reduce that by a year or if it ever, whatever court finally holds it up, thanks to Maurice Claret, that they can come like after year one and dones, then now you've got a major, major, major problem because, the NFL decides to spend on developmental league finally, or changes the age thing, then that will ruin all this plan. Now, whether I don't think that's going to happen probably soon. I think this is going to happen before that does, but that's really what they're banking on right now, because that'll really throw a wrench in the monkey works.
Jeff, I got a question for you, and I don't know this off the top of my head, so I'm going to throw the question out at you. Do you see a scenario where I think it's the UFL, United Football League, the 2 spring football leagues are realistic?
Well, there's just one now.
Opportunities. Huh?
Just one now.
Just
they combine.
One? I thought it was 2.
Yeah. No, they combined this year. I think it's the UFL.
Oh.
I know I sound silly. I watched a little bit of it, but yeah, the Rock, the XFL and the USFL combined. I think it's UFL now.
Oh, okay.
And I'm glad you touched on that, because yes, we're getting closer to what you're thinking.
This is going to I with them playing right now, and I turned it on a couple days ago. It wasn't bad, bro. Like I normally don't watch spring football, and when they first came out, I thought it was like a silly idea, and I was like, wait. You're on right now when everybody is on watching TV, watching March Madness. And there's people like you and I, we both love football more than, I believe you love football more than basketball. I believe. We haven't talked about it. But I like football. It's weird, bro. I understand. I'm a Hoosier, and I'm like, I like football more. Does that make sense? Kind of, not really. But let's just say that a lot of people out here listening, they like football more than basketball. This is a good way to this time of year is a great way to get people to watch the football. And as it gets longer and it becomes more sustainable and the money is there, players are making more money. I wonder how that impacts college football, because realistically, this could be a great way for the NFL to have somewhat of a farm system. And think if they take on the same approach that Major League Baseball did. Not saying having 3 or 4 or 5 different farm league systems or farm leagues, but you literally just have the spring one, and that's what's attached to you. So now the fans that come to watch you on Sunday, being the Colts fans or Browns fans or whoever, they're also getting to know the other team that's playing in that same stadium, wearing the same colors in the spring. That's huge. And it wouldn't shock me, Jeff, if in a few years, or maybe I say a few years, not that far down the road, in a couple years, maybe next year, somebody who is saying, look, I can go to college football, go to class, make a lot of money, or I can play in this other league, make a lot of money, and not go to class.
And learn how to play football.
Yes. Yes.
So real quick, I wish we could do another show on this, but here's another side of this story. And this is why this is the difference between college and minor leagues. Money. Like colleges don't start paying the player like you're obvious. And players will go there. It will benefit the coach to make the players better and get the players to the NFL, as of where the college is about the coach winning. Like we just talked about Dallen Hayden. Like Ryan Day's got to sacrifice Dallen Hayden because like I got to win. Like, I want you to stay here. I want you to be a good player, but like you going to the NFL is not what's important to me. Me
Right.
winning next year is what's important to me. And it's no different than all these teams as to where a minor league, so to speak, for the NFL, it's about like the better your players play, the better you look. And it's not really as much about the wins and losses, not about the rivalry and all that. It's about like just think about it. A kid like Aaron Nolan could be, doing that right now. Marvin Harrison could have went straight into this minor league. You know what I mean? Just like you say in baseball. But then like everything's about like teaching this guy to play NFL football. So it's benefiting him,
Yes.
benefiting the coach. He's getting a little money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes, you don't have all the pageantry and all that, but that doesn't pay any. Like if that's what you want to do for a living, it would benefit you to go straight. As soon as it starts making a little, here's what's finally going to do it to me is when you can finally, when this UFL, I think that's what it's called. I'm sorry if it's not, when it finally gets on the betting sites and then people are like, oh, okay, this is real. I mean, that's just the truth now in America. Like when it finally gets, that's when it's going to be in everybody's brain. So now it's like, man, I'm going to drop $5 on this game and I'm going to watch this team. So then you're going to watch it for a little. We just saw this happen. We just saw one of the greatest, women's basketball tournaments we've ever saw. And why? Because we got interested in the storylines all season. And then we invested in these players that, honestly, a lot of people didn't watch all year, but they kind of knew. Then we invested in them for a tournament and watched the heck out of it. So like, as soon as you get a little bit of eyeballs on this and like get attached a little bit to a team, you're like, man, I want to see what this guy does next week. And as soon as they get a couple million viewers a week, they can pay the players a fair salary. Like you said, why do I want to go to, and mess with all this shenanigans of college if I want to go, play football? Like it's a real conversation to be had.
Man, I wish Jeff and I had more time because he could go a long way.
I told you we worked some stuff out today, Jay.
Oh man, Jeff, you got somebody. I got to share a thought with you after the show.
Can't
Not
wait.
about Ohio State, but something else that is on my mind right now. Guys, we're up out of time. This is a fun show. You want more of this? Trust me, stick around. Post-spring game, we'll get Jeff back on. He's going on vacation soon. Got to get Mo Murphy back on to talk about the spring game. And, man, got a lot of good stuff coming your way. Subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes on YouTube or any audio podcast platform out there. You can follow Jeff on X at jhunt006. You can follow me on the same platform at jstevens07. Send the emails to jstevens317 at gmail.com. We're out of here, Buckeyes.